Right. Ever pictured yourself leading a top-notch team, maybe even flying those advanced aircraft as an Air Force officer? Well, today's deep dive is like stepping into a flight simulator to prep for that big interview. We've got the intel straight from RoleCatcher, their career guides, their interview guides, even some AI stuff.
Nice.
So we're not just winging it here, right?
No, we're aiming for Top Gun level prep for sure. And what I find really interesting is that this isn't just about memorizing answers.
Right.
It's about grasping how the Air Force officer role has changed, how technology is reshaping it, and, the real pros and cons you'll face. It's like walk into that interview room already feeling like you're an insider.
Okay, love that. Let's break formation and analyze this then. First up, what does an Air Force officer actually do these days? I mean, it's got to be more than just, like, Maverick in a fighter jet, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think more specialized flying roles or even vital ground duties,
Okay.
leading teams, rigorous training, making sure your personnel are taken care of. The range is pretty wide.
And the work environment. What's that like? Can't imagine it's your typical 9-to-5 desk job.
You got that right.
Yeah.
You could be stationed on a base, working in an office, or deployed out in the field, sometimes even in pretty hazardous conditions.
Oh, wow.
Irregular hours and the chance of deployment come with the territory, Got to paint the full picture here, not just the recruitment poster.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, one thing RoleCatcher's career guide highlights is how much technology is changing the game in the Air Force.
Yeah.
So, for someone aiming for an officer role, what's the significance of that?
Well, this is where things get pretty interesting.
Okay.
The Air Force relies more and more on advanced technology.
Right.
Drones, cyber warfare, space systems, all that.
Mm-hmm.
They need officers who not only understand this tech, but can lead teams in that kind of high-tech environment.
Right.
Showing you get that, that's a serious leg up.
Okay, time to lock onto those interview questions then. RoleCatcher's guide gives us 10 tough ones. We're going to break them down. What are they really getting at? What's a killer approach? How do you avoid those, like, career-ending blunders? Ready to fly, Maverick.
Roger that. And I'll jump in with how each of these questions kind of reflects the core values and challenges the Air Force is facing.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just an interview, it's a glimpse into a whole new way of life.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right, question 1. What inspired you to become an Air Force officer? Sounds basic, but what's the real goal here?
Well, they're digging deeper than the surface. They want to know what motivates you, your values, what really drives you.
Right.
It's about showing your commitment to service, understanding that massive responsibility you'd be taking on.
So what's a good way to answer this one then?
Tell a story.
Okay.
Connect your personal experiences to wanting to serve, maybe mention specific events or people that shaped you. It's got to be authentic, not just like lines from a movie.
Got it. And what should you absolutely not say?
Those canned responses,
Yeah.
I've always loved planes, or the uniform looks cool. They want to see the real you, what makes you tick.
And if you want to stand out from all the other candidates.
Good point. Dig into those Air Force career paths in the guide.
Yeah.
Connect your dreams to specific roles.
Okay.
Say, you're passionate about tech. Mention becoming an intelligence officer, maybe working on cutting-edge aviation systems. Show you've done your research.
All right. On to question 2. How would you handle a difficult situation with a superior officer? This feels like walking a tightrope.
Right.
What are they really trying to figure out here?
They're testing your leadership skills, how you handle conflict, especially within the military's hierarchy. Can you stay calm, respectful, and find solutions under pressure?
Yeah.
The Air Force needs that balance,
It's tricky. So how do you navigate this potential minefield then?
Lay out a step-by-step approach.
Okay.
First, acknowledge the chain of command. Then, explain how you try to understand your superior's viewpoint. Communicate your own clearly. If it can't be resolved one-on-one, mention the proper channels for raising concerns.
Right. Makes sense. And the absolute worst thing to say.
Don't badmouth authority figures, even if you have a legitimate complaint.
Yeah.
Focus on the process, not personalities. The Air Force is big on professionalism, loyalty above all else.
Right. Any tips to make your answer really memorable?
Use a real-life example.
Oh, good idea.
Maybe a time you had to navigate a tough situation with a boss or a professor. Shows you can apply these skills in the real world, not just in theory.
Okay. On to question 3. How do you stay up to date with advancements in aviation technology? Given how important tech is, this one feels super important.
It is. It is. This question really gets at a core Air Force value. Never stop learning.
Oh, interesting.
They want to see you're proactive, passionate about staying ahead of the game, especially in a field that's changing so fast.
So how do you prove you're on top of things then?
Talk about your strategies.
Okay.
Mention publications, conferences, online courses, even personal projects that show you're into aviation tech.
Yeah.
Give real examples, not just vague statements.
What are some answers that would make the interviewer hit the eject button?
Saying, I read stuff online.
Right.
Be specific, be enthusiastic, show you're actively seeking knowledge, not just scrolling through like social media.
Makes sense. How can you take your answer to the next level?
Mention any organizations you're involved in.
Oh, right.
Engineering groups, STEM volunteer work. It's going beyond reading about it. It's doing something in the field.
Perfect. Next up is question 4. How do you prioritize tasks when managing a team? Sounds like a classic leadership challenge.
Yeah, it's a big one. And super relevant in the Air Force. Missions often demand quick decisions, assigning tasks efficiently. They need someone who can organize, delegate, adapt when things get tough.
So what's a good strategy for answering this one?
Break down your process. Maybe mention methods like the Eisenhower matrix,
I've heard of that.
Explain how you figure out the most critical tasks. Delegate based on what your team is good at.
Right.
And how you adjust your plans when things change, because they will.
Okay.
Show them you've got a system, not just chaos.
And the biggest mistake you can make here?
Saying you just wing it?
Right. Yeah.
They want a leader who's organized, methodical, not someone just flying by the seat of their pants, even in the Air Force.
True. Any pro tips for really wowing them with this answer?
Share a real-life example where you had to prioritize tasks and it worked out well.
Good one.
Did you lead a complex project, manage some kind of crisis, make that method come alive, show it's effective?
Question 5 now. How do you motivate your team to achieve their goals? Another leadership question, but I feel like this one's about the human element.
It is. It's about understanding what truly makes people tick.
Yeah.
The Air Force thrives on teamwork, on everyone being driven by a shared purpose.
Wow.
They're looking for your ability to inspire others, not just boss them around.
Okay, so how do you convey that kind of inspirational leadership style then?
Go beyond the obvious motivators, like just money or promotions. Talk about setting clear goals, giving regular feedback, fostering a supportive environment, and recognizing achievements.
Okay.
Mention intrinsic motivation, that desire to excel just for the sake of it.
And what are some responses that would be red flags for the interviewers?
Saying you motivate people by yelling or threatening,
Yeah.
that's not leadership. That's something else entirely.
Right.
The Air Force wants leaders who inspire, not intimidate.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How can you make your answer stand out?
Tell a story.
Oh, again, good idea.
Share a time you motivated a team to overcome an obstacle, to reach a tough goal. Show them you've been there, done that.
All right, moving on to question 6. How do you handle a team member who is not meeting expectations? This feels delicate.
It is. It's a balancing act, but it's something every leader faces.
Yeah.
They're checking if you can address performance issues in a constructive way without ruining the team's unity.
Yeah.
It's about coaching, not punishing.
Okay, so what's the best way to tackle this one then?
Focus on open communication, being supportive.
Okay.
Explain how you'd first try to understand why they're underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they need training, clear instructions, or they're going through something tough personally.
Right.
Then talk about how you'd give feedback, set clear expectations, and offer support to help them get better.
What kind of answers would make the interviewer cringe?
Jumping to conclusions, publicly shaming someone.
Right, yeah, bad.
Emphasize that you believe in dealing with issues privately, focusing on solutions, not blame.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you're building a team, not tearing it down.
Makes sense. And how can you really impress them with your answer?
Share a time you actually helped someone improve.
Okay.
Highlight the positive impact it had on them and the team.
Right.
Show you can turn a potential problem into a success story.
Question 7 takes us into some high-stakes territory here. Okay. How do you handle a crisis situation, such as a natural disaster or security breach? Feels like a test of your ability to think on your feet.
You got it. It's all about how you stay calm, make decisions, lead effectively when the pressure's on.
Right.
The Air Force needs officers who can handle the heat, not melt under it.
So how do you demonstrate you've got what it takes for a crisis?
Show them you've got a clear, methodical approach to crisis management.
Okay.
Maybe mention a framework like the OD loop: observe, orient, decide, act.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasize gathering information, assessing the situation, coming up with a plan, and communicating clearly with your team.
Got it. And what would make the interviewer totally doubt your abilities?
Panicking. They need someone who thinks clearly, acts decisively, not someone who freezes up.
Yeah.
Stay cool, calm, and collected, even when you're describing a hypothetical crisis.
Right. Any pro tips for making your answer stand out here?
Use a past experience, even if it wasn't a full-blown crisis.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe you had to deal with a sudden challenge, something unexpected. Show them you can adapt, solve problems under pressure, no matter what's happening.
Okay. Question 8. How do you foster a culture of innovation within your team? This feels like a very modern leadership challenge.
It is. It's understanding that leadership is not just about giving orders.
Right.
It's about empowering your team to think critically and come up with solutions.
Yeah.
The Air Force needs officers who can adapt to change, but also drive it.
Okay, so how do you convey that you can create that kind of innovative environment?
Well, you can talk about specific strategies,
Okay.
brainstorming sessions, actively seeking feedback from everyone, celebrating those creative solutions, maybe even setting up a system for rewarding innovative ideas.
Nice.
Show them you're not just hoping for innovation to happen, you're making it happen.
And what are some things you shouldn't say in response to this question?
Don't say you'll force people to be innovative. Real innovation comes from a culture that encourages it, where people feel safe to share their ideas.
Makes sense.
You're a leader, not a dictator.
Right. Good point. Any tips for making this answer really land?
Share an example of a time you actually fostered innovation within a team or organization.
Okay.
Did you implement a new process? Solve a problem in a unique way? Create a space where people felt comfortable sharing ideas.
Yeah.
Let them see you in action as that champion of innovation.
Okay. Question 9 brings up a classic balancing act. How do you balance the needs of your team with the needs of the larger organization? This seems like they're checking your judgment, your understanding of the Air Force's structure.
Exactly. They want someone who sees the big picture while still supporting their team.
Right.
Understanding that both the individual and the collective are crucial for mission success.
So how do you convince them you can handle that delicate balance?
Emphasize the importance of alignment.
Okay.
Make it clear that your team's goals connect directly to the Air Force's overall objectives. Talk about how you communicate, keep everyone informed, make sure decisions benefit both the team and the organization.
What are some answers that would make them question if you really understand the Air Force?
Saying you'll always put the team first, or that you'll just follow orders. You've got to show that you get how the team and the organization are connected. It's not about picking one over the other. It's about finding that synergy between them.
Right. And what's the best way to show you can handle this complex situation?
Talk about a time you made a tough decision, a time you had to balance these competing needs.
Okay.
Maybe a choice that helped the organization but required your team to make sacrifices. How'd you handle that?
Yeah.
Did you find ways to lessen the negative impact while still getting the results you needed?
Right.
Sharing those experiences shows you can handle tough leadership situations.
Okay, final question. How do you handle conflicts within your team? Feels like we're coming full circle, back to those crucial interpersonal skills.
Exactly. Resolving conflict is core to leadership, and this question is about how you approach disagreements on a team.
Yeah.
The Air Force values teamwork, camaraderie, so showing you can navigate conflict well, that's key.
So how do you show you're the one who makes peace, not starts trouble?
Emphasize open communication and really listening.
Okay.
Explain that you'd start by understanding everyone's point of view, creating a safe space to air their concerns.
Right.
Lay out how you'd encourage a constructive dialogue, focused on finding common ground, solutions that work for the whole team.
And what are some answers that would worry the interviewer about your ability to keep the team together?
Saying you'd avoid conflict completely, or that you'd let the strongest personality win.
Yeah.
Conflict, when handled well, can actually help people grow. Show them that you're not afraid to tackle issues head-on, but you do it with tact and skill.
Got it. Any final tips for really nailing this last answer?
Share a concrete example where you successfully mediated a conflict. What were the challenges? What strategies did you use? How did it turn out?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Right.
This makes those conflict resolution skills come alive proves you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
So we've made it through all 10 of RoleCatcher's tough interview questions.
Whew.
But before we dive into their AI-powered secrets, let's zoom out a bit.
You mean look at the big picture of the Air Force officer's career path?
Exactly. Acing the interview is just the first step. Understanding where this career can lead, that can give you a real edge.
That's so true. It's not just about getting the job. It's about seeing the whole journey, the potential it holds.
Right. So let's talk pros and cons. We know a career in the Air Force can be incredibly rewarding.
Yes.
But it also comes with its own unique challenges.
Absolutely. No career path is perfect.
Right. So let's start with the positives.
Yes.
What does the career guide highlight?
Well, it mentions leadership opportunities, competitive pay and benefits, extensive training and education, chances to travel, job security, and of course, the chance to serve your country.
Yeah, those are big ones.
All very appealing advantages.
But there's always another side to the coin, right? What about the drawbacks?
Right. The guide does mention frequent relocations, which can be tough on families.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's also the possibility of long deployments, which are hard on both the individual and their loved ones. The level of responsibility and stress is another factor to consider. And of course, inherent in military service is the potential for dangerous situations.
That's the reality. So it's about carefully weighing those pros and cons, making sure this path aligns with your values and goals.
Exactly.
It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle.
I couldn't agree more. And I think understanding the potential career paths within the Air Force can be beneficial too.
Okay, how so?
It shows the interviewers that you're ambitious, looking for opportunities to grow within the organization.
Right. So what does the guide say about that?
It outlines a clear progression from entry level to senior positions.
Okay.
More responsibility, more leadership opportunities at each stage.
Makes sense. And how do you make sure you're moving up that ladder?
Well, continuous learning is essential.
Of course.
The guide suggests going for advanced degrees, specialized training, attending conferences, participating in military exercises and simulations. It's about proving you're committed to professional development and staying on top of your game in a field that changes quickly.
Yeah. And what about certifications? Are those important?
Absolutely. Getting things like a pilot's license, an officer training school certificate, a security clearance, those can really boost your career prospects.
Right.
Shows your dedication.
Like building a powerful toolkit.
Exactly. Skills and experiences that'll help you succeed in your Air Force career.
But it's not just about checking boxes on a resume, right?
No, not at all. The career guide also talks about showcasing your abilities through a portfolio. Participating in competitions, doing demonstrations, contributing to professional publications, those things demonstrate your passion and expertise. They help you stand out.
And good old-fashioned networking.
Oh, crucial.
Going to military career fairs, joining professional organizations, connecting with people already in the Air Force, that's got to be valuable.
It is. It gives you insights. You can find mentors, maybe even discover new career opportunities.
Right. Building relationships.
Exactly. Learning from those who've already walked the path you're aiming for.
Yeah.
This kind of initiative makes a big impression.
So we've explored this Air Force officer career landscape, from the daily duties and challenges to the long-term opportunities. But now it's time to unveil RoleCatcher's secret weapon, AI-powered interview prep.
Now things get really interesting. Imagine having a virtual interview coach.
Whoa.
It analyzes your answers, gives personalized feedback, even helps you refine how you present yourself. That's RoleCatcher's AI.
Sounds almost too good to be true. How does it actually work?
Well, let's say you're practicing your answer to that conflict resolution question we talked about.
Right.
You record yourself with RoleCatcher's platform, and their AI goes to work. It looks at your tone, your pacing, your content, even picks up on subtle cues like facial expressions and body language.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Precisely. Like a virtual mirror showing you how you come across, highlighting what to improve.
And does it get more in-depth than that?
Oh, yeah. RoleCatcher's AI checks your keywords, sees if you've missed anything important in your answer, even suggests different phrasing or better examples to make your answer stronger.
This feels like a game changer, especially for people who get nervous in interviews.
It definitely helps to level the playing field, gives everyone access to that personalized feedback, that expert guidance, no matter their background.
And RoleCatcher's AI magic doesn't stop there, does it?
Nope. They have that amazing CV resume builder, also powered by AI.
Right. So fill in the blanks, get a generic resume, done.
Not at all. This thing analyzes your existing resume, compares it to the specific requirements for the Air Force officer role you're after.
Wow.
Then it suggests targeted changes to really make those relevant skills and experiences shine.
It's like having a resume expert working behind the scenes to make your application stand out.
Exactly. And it's not just about matching keywords.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you write those eye-catching bullet points that highlight your wins. Even tailor your summary statement to showcase the skills and experiences that matter most.
This all sounds incredibly helpful. It really seems like RoleCatcher's AI tools could give candidates a big advantage.
No doubt. But tech is only part of the picture.
Right, you still have to bring your A game.
Exactly. Your passion, your knowledge, your authentic self, that's on you.
Right. But having these tools can boost your confidence, help you put your best foot forward.
Totally agree.
So you've explored this Air Force officer career,
Mm-hmm.
looked at those tricky interview questions, even seen how RoleCatcher's AI can help. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's step back and consider the bigger picture again.
You mean the human element?
Exactly. We talked about the skills, the prep, the path, but what about the who?
Ah, you're talking about the qualities that make a truly great Air Force officer.
Yes, those leadership traits, the values, the character that goes beyond just skills and experience.
Right. Those are things no AI can figure out. They have to come from within you.
Exactly. So as we move into our next section, here's something to think about. What kind of leader do you want to be in the Air Force? What values will guide your decisions? What impact do you hope to make?
Those are the questions that'll shape your whole journey, and only you can answer them.
Love that. And while those big questions simmer, remember what we've explored today. RoleCatcher's resources are there to refine your skills, tailor your resume, help you practice your answers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's your drive, your self-awareness, that'll fuel your success in the long run.
I couldn't agree more.
We've talked about how the Air Force is changing, embracing technology and all that.
Right.
But at its heart, it's still about people.
Yeah.
About leadership that inspires, that makes tough calls, that puts the mission first while taking care of the team.
So true. So as you go forward, think of this interview as not just a hurdle to clear, but a chance to show them the best version of yourself, the leader you want to be, in line with the values the Air Force stands for.
We've given you the roadmap, the intel, even the secret weapons. Now it's up to you to take flight.
The sky's the limit, but it's up to you to chart your course.
We wish you the best on your Air Force journey.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher's website for even more resources and guidance.
Mm-hmm. Great resources.
All right, we'll be back after a short break to dive into some additional resources and thought-provoking questions to help you keep moving towards becoming an Air Force officer.
Sounds good. Welcome back. Hope you had a moment to consider those questions about what kind of leader you want to be.
It really is about more than just acing the interview.
It is. It is.
It's about how your values match up with the Air Force's mission.
Right.
And figuring out what kind of leader you want to be.
Exactly. Serving with integrity, inspiring your team, and making a real difference.
Speaking of leadership, I'm curious about how RoleCatcher's AI can actually help candidates prep for those tough leadership-focused interview questions. Like we talked about conflict resolution earlier. How can their AI tools actually help people craft good answers to those kinds of questions?
Oh, well, that's where it gets really cool.
Okay.
Imagine having a virtual coach that not only analyzes what you say, but helps you tailor it to exactly what the Air Force is looking for.
Wow.
That's what RoleCatcher's AI does.
So break it down for me. How does that actually work?
Let's say you're practicing your answer to that question about handling a tough situation with a higher-ranking officer.
Right.
That you record yourself answering it using RoleCatcher's platform.
Okay.
And their AI analyzes everything, your tone, the words you choose, even your body language.
It's like having a personal AI interview coach.
That's it.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. And the feedback is really specific.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI picks up on those subtle things in your delivery, like hesitation or if you sound unsure, and then it suggests ways to improve.
That could be a game changer for people who, get nervous in interviews.
Totally. It levels the playing field, gives everyone access to that expert guidance.
Right, no matter their background.
Exactly.
And RoleCatcher's AI can do more than just help with interview practice, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Didn't they have that impressive CV resume builder too?
They do, and it's not like those generic resume builders out there.
Okay, what makes it different?
It actually analyzes your existing resume and compares it to what's required for the specific Air Force officer role you're going for.
Interesting.
And then it recommends changes to make sure your resume really highlights the skills and experiences that matter most for that role.
So it's basically like having a resume expert tailoring your application to make you stand out.
You got it.
That's so helpful.
And it's not just about keywords. RoleCatcher's AI can help you write those strong bullet points that really showcase your accomplishments
Right.
in a way that aligns with what the Air Force values.
That's incredible. It sounds like these AI tools from RoleCatcher could be a huge help for candidates.
No question, they give you a real advantage.
But of course, technology can only take you so far.
For sure.
At the end of the day, it's up to the individual to show their passion, their knowledge, their commitment to serving.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, let's go back to RoleCatcher's career guide for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about the pros and cons, but what about the different career paths you can take in the Air Force?
Yeah, good point.
It's not all about flying, right?
Not at all. There's a surprising amount of variety, both in the air and on the ground.
Like what?
Well, there's pilots, obviously, but also engineers, intelligence officers, logistics specialists, medical professionals, and a lot more.
Wow, so candidates really need to do their research,
They do.
figure out what path aligns best with their interests and what they're good at.
It's not just about finding a job, it's about finding your calling.
Right, and I imagine the Air Force is looking for officers who are truly passionate about their work.
Exactly, people who are committed to making a difference.
So how can candidates demonstrate that passion and commitment in the interview?
By being ready to talk about what they've researched, their past experiences, and what they hope to achieve.
Okay.
The interviewers want to see that they've thought about the long term,
Mm-hmm.
that they understand the challenges and rewards of an Air Force career,
Right.
and that they're ready to dedicate themselves to something bigger than themselves.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about answering questions, it's about telling your story,
It is.
showing who you are and what you believe in.
Exactly. And speaking of stories,
Yeah.
we've talked about how important it is to share personal anecdotes and experiences in the interview.
Right.
Can you give an example of how someone might do that?
Sure. Let's take that question about motivating a team. A candidate could talk about leading a group project in school or maybe organizing a volunteer event.
Mm-hmm.
They could describe the challenges they faced, the strategies they used to motivate their team, and what the outcome was.
That's a great example. Sharing a real story like that brings your experience to life.
Right.
Makes it more relatable for the interviewers.
It also shows that they've thought about their experiences and learned from them.
Absolutely. And that's what the Air Force wants, leaders who are self-aware, adaptable, and always trying to improve.
So we've covered doing your research, the power of storytelling, and how RoleCatcher's AI tools can help you prepare.
Mm-hmm.
What other advice would you give to someone getting ready for those Air Force interviews?
I'd say, first and foremost, be yourself.
Yeah, that's important.
The interviewers want to meet the real you, not some polished, rehearsed version.
Right.
Let your passion and personality come through.
I think it's easy to get caught up in trying to give the right answers.
It is.
But sometimes the best thing you can do is just be genuine.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions yourself.
Oh, good point.
The interview goes both ways.
Yeah.
It's a chance for you to learn more about the Air Force and make sure it's the right fit for you.
Asking questions shows you're engaged and that you're really interested.
It does, and it also helps you gather information to make a good decision about your future.
So we've talked about a lot today, the different career paths in the Air Force, how important storytelling and authenticity are.
We have.
But as we start wrapping up this deep dive, I want to come back to something we mentioned earlier, the human element.
You mean those intangible qualities that make a great leader?
Yes, exactly.
Things like character, integrity, that desire to serve something bigger than yourself.
Those are the qualities that really define leadership, and they're what the Air Force is looking for.
They are.
And those are the qualities that no AI can teach you.
You're right. They have to come from within. They're shaped by your experiences, your values, your commitment to making a difference.
So as you get ready for your Air Force interview, really take some time to think about those qualities. Ask yourself what kind of leader you want to be, how your skills and experiences can help you serve your country and inspire others.
Because ultimately, it's not just about getting the job, it's about becoming the best version of yourself and making a real impact on the world.
Welcome back to our deep dive into prepping for that Air Force officer interview. We've really covered a ton today, breaking down the role, dissecting those tough interview questions, even looking at how AI can give you a boost.
Yeah, it's been pretty comprehensive.
But before we send you off on your mission, let's take one final flyover, so to speak.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the skills, the prep, the career path itself.
Right.
But what about the who? What really makes someone succeed as an Air Force officer at a personal level?
You're talking about those qualities you can't just list on a resume.
Exactly.
The leadership, the values, the character, that's what makes someone not just an officer, but a truly effective leader.
And that's something no AI, no guidebook can really teach you.
It really does come from within.
Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a challenge for you. As you're preparing for this interview, go beyond just the technical stuff. Really reflect on your motivations. What kind of leader do you want to be in the Air Force?
Yeah, that's important.
What values will guide your decisions? What kind of impact do you hope to make?
Those are the questions that'll shape your whole experience.
Exactly. They go way beyond just this one interview.
Absolutely.
And while you're thinking about those bigger questions, remember what we've talked about. RoleCatcher's got some great resources to help you sharpen your skills, fine-tune your resume, practice your answers.
Right. Use those tools.
But your drive, your self-awareness, that's what will fuel your success in the long run.
I couldn't agree more.
We talked about how the Air Force is evolving, embracing all this new technology.
Yeah.
But at its core, it's still about people. It's about leadership that inspires, that makes tough decisions, that puts the mission first, but still takes care of the team.
That's what it all comes down to.
So as you move forward, don't think of this interview as just a hurdle to clear.
No, it's more than that.
See it as a chance to show them the best version of yourself, the leader you aspire to be.
Exactly.
The leader who embodies those values
Right.
the Air Force holds dear.
That's what they're looking for.
We've given you the roadmap, the intel, even some secret weapons.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's up to you to take flight.
The sky's the limit. But you get to chart your own course. We wish you all the best on your Air Force journey.
And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher's website for more resources and guidance. Good luck.